Hey everybody, I believe I am live. I'm going to check a screen really quickly and I will start sharing. So I should be sharing my screen at the moment. I'm not going to go on video because I'm a mess. My house is a disaster. So I should be sharing my screen here and hopefully I can follow along and answer questions. But I thought I would get on today and kind of share with you some behind the scenes and give you a little bit of a sneak peek. I had created my custom card very last minute. I scrapped this thing over and over and over again, and I ordered a 6-panel panoramic accordion fold card. I know it's a mouthful, but I ordered a really nice fold card that should be coming in a few days. And I used one of the custom calligraphy brushes that I built for Corel Painter in finishing off some hand-drawn elements for the card. So this is the inside flap of it. And when I move in, you can see the word forever is hand drawn. So what I really like to do when I design pieces is I like having a font that's pretty, like a sans serif font, something like either Trajan Pro or Railway or even Arial or Garamond, something that's kind of a very clean standard font, and I like to pair it with a hand scripted element, whether it's a font or something that's hand drawn. I think you have a really nice balance between hard edges and then elegant fluid movement. So it's just very appealing, and I just think it's kind of modern, but it also has a little touch of that classical old world calligraphy. So I wanted to show you guys how I did that forever word here. So let me back out. So that's the inside of my little Munchkins Christmas card. So you guys get a sneak peek of that. So the word forever, let me pull that one up. I try as much as I can to keep them on separate layers, just in case I need to move things around. There's a few pros and cons to this. The pros being that you can adjust anything, you can mask things out. You can see that I've got everything on separate layers here. You can move them around, you can delete things. The cons being that when you're in this fluid movement of calligraphy, it's really hard to just, you get in this fluid movement and then you stop and you add a new layer, and you get in the movement and you stop and you add a layer. So that's kind of the terrible part of it. But overall, it's very helpful, especially because there's overlap and overlay in your lettering. So let me work backwards here. You can see that I started off with the part of the F. I got a little carried away. Instead of hitting new layer, I just went with it and I started with the OR. Then I've got the ever, then I've got the dash, and then I've got the little dash on the F here. So I will save this as an uncompressed Photoshop or a PSD file in Corel Painter. And right now I'm in 2017. I work between 2017 and 2018 depending on how lazy I'm feeling that day. And I'm working on the Wacom Intuos Pro Medium tablet with the extra art pen. And the art pen is really essential when you're doing any kind of calligraphy or hand-drawn script because it does have barrel rotation or swivel sensitivity. So it just has that extra sensitivity that's really good for when you're doing calligraphy or something that's super sensitive to that kind of thing. So let me make sure I'm not missing any questions here. I might be. I apologize. I'm kind of new to this Facebook Live thing, so bear with me. The question is, will this be available later today? Yes, it'll be on my Facebook page, and I'm not going to take it down. So yes, Tracy, you can watch it later on. So I'm keeping all these layers. It's an uncompressed PSD, and I will go back into Photoshop, do any kind of editing, clean up any of these little splotches, maybe line things up a little bit, maybe do a free transform, and then flatten everything into its one transparent layer. So that kind of gives you an idea of where Forever came from, but I wanted to show you where it came from scratch. So I'm going to start a new document, and I'm going to keep it a little bit smaller just because when I'm streaming through my streaming platform, this is an old dinosaur computer, and so it really, really slows everything down. So let's make a new document, and I'm going to make it, let's do a small one. Let's do an 8 by 4 at 300 ppi, just on a white colored paper. Here's the really important part here. There's 2 steps. You need a blank layer, so we're going to click New Layer. Make sure that this little pick up underline color is not selected. If you know me in Painter earlier, you always want this selected when you're painting portraits. Because we're working with transparency here, you really need to make sure this is unselected. And then we are working with what's going to be called clipping masks in Photoshop. I have videos on my YouTube channel at Heather the Painter about what a clipping mask is. It's essentially unlimited editing to your black shapes. So we're going to be working in grayscale. So make sure that you're on black. Doesn't matter where you are on the ring as long as you're on jet black. And I've selected my Heather signature brush. You'll see I've actually added some extra brushes. This is only on my personal set, but on the brushes that come on my store, so heatherthepainterstore.com, this is my signature calligraphy set. So there are 2 brushes. You get the signature brush and the signature grainy. The brush is just this nice solid line that's extremely expressive to pressure. So you get a really fat brush mark with a lot of pressure and a really thin mark with little pressure. So it's kind of like this inky calligraphy brush. The grainy will actually pick up paper texture with all those beautiful marks. So this one picks up whatever paper texture is set under your paper texture box on your tools palette. But I kind of like having just a solid ink. So I'm going to go pick up Heather's signature brush. Now here's step 2 that's really, really important. We are going to calibrate our brush. So enable brush calibration is selected. We're going to click on this bottom right icon. And this is going to look totally different between everybody because this is us telling Painter our pressure and our speed for the day. So I'm just trying to make a really super sensitive speed, and I'm lifting my pen off the tablet as I'm finishing this stroke. So you'll see I'm getting this really nice steep incline. There we go. And you can see it's already kind of slowing down because I'm on my streaming platform. Okay. So I'm going to draw, let's see, let's do this. I'm going to do an F. Oh goodness, this is slow when we stream. I might have to move over to my other computer on the next stream. Let's do a new layer. Do that top hook. Do another layer. You can see it's really slowing down for me. So this is a really rough version of the brush, but it's very, very sensitive to pressure. So normally when I'm working with these words, there's a lot of undos and a little bit of screaming. There's some days where it's just, you know, everything runs smoothly. Let's undo that part. But you'll notice I've kept a lot of these things on separate layers. It's just more easy to edit. Now the nice thing in Painter is, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but you can actually layer mask in Painter. Same thing like Photoshop, you can add this guy. So if we need to layer mask anything, like I get a little bit of these ink blots. I think this was layer 4. Let's add a layer mask. Just like Photoshop, black hides, white reveals. So black, I'm going to go over and clean up these little ink splotches. And that just keeps the same consistency. So I'm taking black on my layer mask, not on my layer, but my layer mask, and just hiding those little ink splotches and cleaning up that layer using the exact same brush so there's that nice same consistency throughout. Let's do it on the dash of the F. I've got to find the dash. Here we are. So let's add a layer mask. Here we go. Now, normally when I'm not streaming, I can fly through the lettering and it's very fluid. So now that I've made this kind of semi-fluid marks, I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to save this as Facebook. And I typically number them. So Facebook 1, uncompressed Photoshop, and click Save. And we can then take this into Photoshop and create a clipping mask for it so we can use it for marketing, a logo, branding, a signature, a word in your Christmas card or holiday card or graduation card. So there's a lot of unlimited potentials for this, but the signature brush can be found at heatherthepainterstore.com, and there are 2 of them in this signature brush pack. Or you can get the entire pack. I believe there are, I want to say 13 brushes on them. But with just the signature brushes where you can sign your name, there are 2 brushes. And this is just the Heather's signature brush that I use in all of my calligraphy work. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Feel free to check out my tutorials. The free ones are at YouTube, and just look me up at Heather the Painter. Or you can look at the Study at Your Own Pace full-length tutorials at heatherthepainterstore.com. Thanks, guys.